Good evening, good afternoon, good morning from where you are. Welcome to today's session where we're going to have Gulbin Ozdemir from Ozdemir, I hope I'm pronouncing well, who is a teacher of English and teaches gifted and talented students in Turkey. She has been working as an English teacher for more than 10 years. She is certified TESOL advanced practitioner and working as an ambassador for the International English Teachers Association and Global School Alliance. She's currently working on her master's thesis in the field of ELT. In 2022 and 2023, she was nominated for the Dedicated Teacher Award from Cambridge University Press. This year, she's been nominated for Person English Language Teacher Awards as well. She has also been awarded as the most inspiring teacher of 2022 in Turkey by ENGED, English Language Education Association. She has been awarded as Best Global Educator by the International Internship University in 2022. She has also been selected as a Teacher of the Week by Teach 2030 platform, which is sponsored by Commonwealth Education Trust in July 2022. So today, our session is on learning journey with gifted, talented learners, is where we're going to explore strategies, insights, and real-world experiences to support and challenge high-ability students, discover how to nurture their potential, and create a meaningful learning pathways that inspire growth and achievement. Welcome our speaker. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Margot. It's such an honor to be with you today. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to my session. It's such an honor and a pleasure to be with you all today. So, let me just share my screen in order to share my slides. No, that one's all right. Boop, boop. I was just working on something else as well in the meantime, while I was working and waiting at the same time. Okay, so can you see clearly my screen right now? I guess so, right? Okay.
Yes, it's okay.
So, okay, thank you. Everyone, welcome back again. This is my session. Just a sec. Okay. So the name of my session is going to be like Learning Journey with Gifted and Talented Learners. I just want to call them learners, not as students. And I will just call them as learners rather than students. And you will understand what I mean while I'm just talking about my slides, okay? All right. So first off, that's going to be a self-intro, but Margot was just doing that in a perfect way. So I don't want to just go through again and again because, yeah, I've got some awards and I've been awarded with some things, but I don't want to talk about these because I don't want to praise myself. That's the thing I don't like it. So I just want to say that I'm an EFL teacher, English language teacher, for more than like 10 years already. It's been 14 years. So I've been what I mean in the meantime, okay? All right. What do we have in today's menu? We will have how do we describe gifted students? Who is gifted? Who is talented? I will just more focus on gifted because I work with gifted students, but we work also with talented students as well. But talented students are here in order to develop and improve their music skills and art skills. So they are not like gifted, they are talented. Okay. So who is gifted? We will figure this out. And what is a science and art center? I call it gifted center because gifted center would be nicer or better or more recognizable for you because science and art centers are only in Turkey right now or are only in my country. But the other countries, especially the USA, identify those centers as gifted centers. So that's why I will talk about what is a science and art center. This is really important to me. What do these institutions offer in Turkey? Not in Europe, not in Africa, but in Turkey, okay? Because these are not local, these are national, on a national basis. These are science and art centers, and they are public bodies, but we don't have it, like we don't see it in Europe, like we don't see it in the USA. They more call it like gift center, okay? So the third of is what are the qualifications of a teacher working at those centers? So what would be a teacher like carrying if he or she wants to work at those centers, what qualifications he or she should have, okay? And the last one is going to be about the challenges. This is quite important, okay? We've got the journey, of course, we've got the advantages and challenges. So that's why I would like to show you the challenges and how I personally and professionally, but like, of course, professionally, but again, I'm telling personally how I overcome these challenges, okay? So let's move on to the next slide. First off, who do we describe as gifted? What is giftedness? Okay, so what is giftedness? Students with gifts and talents perform or have the capability to perform at higher levels compared to others of the same age, same experience, and same environment in one or more domains. So that is given by the National Association for Gifted Children in Washington, D.C., in the US. So if you just look at this identification, if you look at this description, that's perfect because normally we don't call them in Turkish language. We don't call them as gifted. We just call them with like students or learners with some special needs, of course, but these are not SEND students. So we just call them like students with special capabilities, students with special capacities. So we call it like special kids, okay? These are not like gifted students, not each of them, not every of them is gifted like Einstein or something like that. But we call them students with special capabilities, students with special capacities. So that's why that means they can perform or they have the capability to perform at higher levels than their peers, okay? So that's the idea. Because when you have gifted center, you just expect all of the students to be, to act, to perform, to be actively involved in every lesson, like Einstein's. But no, no way. This is not even like this is no, this is not reality. This is too utopic, right? So that's why we call them like that in Turkey. So what are their characteristics? So they are born with above average natural abilities. So that's quite important. So we believe that they are born with above average. So how do we call like above average? So you could easily, as a teacher, you could easily just, observe if your students is gifted or not, because their answers are different, their point of views are different, their perspectives are different. So that's why you could just easily say a 2-year old, even a 3-year old, even is smart, really smart or not. Because when, for example, when we see some kids, they just scroll their tablets, scroll the phone, scroll everything. And then we say, oh, okay, they are really doing good with technological devices. They should be so smart. No way. That's not the how do we say, that's not a like something to point giftedness or something to point if that person, if that baby, if that kid is smart enough. So you should go for their explanations, you should go and you should check about their questions if the questions are really like really interesting, for example. So they are curious. We're coming that again. They're so curious and they ask detailed questions. And the questions, maybe sometimes it feels like the questions are never ending because they just ask and then they go for the details. Okay, oh, can you tell me why this and this are going like that? Now, okay, now I get it, but I don't get this point. I don't get that point. So you could easily just create a story out of their detailed questions, right? That's quite important again. So here, again, they put their own approach to the assignments. If these kids are enrolled in a school and if they have some assignments, so you could easily observe, you could easily see that they put their own effort, their own approach, their own strategy, their own something because they want to create something. They don't want to like follow the rules. They don't want to be in a routine because they are creative, because their minds are different, right? So that's why they want to put their own point of view, their own perspective to the assignment. So you should be like, oh, okay, but you just do with red here, but it should be blue. No. So think about that. You could easily adapt your teaching to their style as well, like as the kindergarten teachers do. For example, I do that with my kid as well. And I say, okay, not every cloud should be blue, not every cloud should be white. The clouds can be red, can be reddish, can be orange, can be purple even. So that's real. So if you come to Antalya, the city where I live in Turkey, so you could easily see the clouds in red, in purple, in blue, in every other color that you could imagine, right? So that's why we should be more like patient with these kids because, of course, the way they think is different. Okay, they have original ideas. Of course, they want to be creative and they want to create something, even they want to produce something. So that's why they have original ideas, right? They have unique ideas and they create their own solutions. Not all of the time, but they just slightly have a tendency, let's say, to create their own solutions. And in the fact, that's a very nice step for me. They are cognitively advanced and able to self-teach. This is quite essential to me because when you are a teacher, especially in a gifted center or science and art center, as we say in Turkey, so you don't teach something actually to those kids. You don't teach, you just facilitate, okay? So that's why I want to show you why I would prefer learners instead of students. Because when you want to teach something, so you should be addressed to the students, right? You should address what you want to teach to the students. But these kids normally are able to self-teach, so you just facilitate their learning journey. Okay, so that's the fact actually. They just want to learn. They have the motivation, they have cognitive skills to do that, and they have the information because they have the sources, right? They have Google, they have Yahoo, they have internet, they have technology, they have everything like YouTube and every other AI tool that you even as a teacher, you wouldn't even like use or you wouldn't even identify or haven't met. Okay, they know everything. So you just facilitate and you just direct them in the smart way so that they can just follow their learning path as you just slowly or you just how do we say like slowly and patiently observe their learning journey and learning path, okay? So they have strong feelings for things they find important. This is quite nice because their IQ levels are normally higher than you expect, of course, but their EQ level, like emotional how do you say, emotional IQ, let's say. So emotional intelligence is not that high that you would imagine, that you would expect. But if they find something important, if they find something vital, or if they find something practical, you could easily see that they have that strong feeling. You see their motivation, ambition, dedication, everything in their eyes and in their face, and how they act, of course. Okay. All right. So you see my students, learners over here, okay? So that's I still remember this day, and they had so much fun. And that was the guest institution, and they have their art class, and the art classroom was just very nice and very well designed. And we were having really fun, and we were playing Jenga, and they had so much fun at that day. Okay, so what are science and art centers? What do these institutions offer? Okay, this is what we have in Turkey, the country where I am from. Okay, so Europe or USA or Africa, I don't know the situation in Africa, but I guess not. Again, Africa doesn't have, right? So especially maybe they have those kind of centers for those special kids, but maybe they don't, like, those countries don't call it like science and art centers. Maybe that's why. So in Turkey, keep that in mind, that we call those gifted centers as science and art centers. But this is a public body, that's a public school, and that is regulated and governed by the Ministry of Education. It's not private, it's a state school. But I'm going to tell you more about these centers, okay, in the next slides. Okay, science and art centers in Turkey. So they are called as Bilsem, as you see in the slide, Bilim ve Sanat Merkezi. So Bilim stands for science and Sanat stands for art. Okay, so and you see the logo of my institution, Serik Bilsem. It's located in Antalya, the city where I'm living right now. So that's the logo I just wanted to include. So you here, you see, these are not my students, but you see here that they are working on their own plane maquettes, right? So that's quite nice, actually. I think this is retrieved from, of course, from the internet, but I think this is a science lesson or something like that. So you have the materials and you have the special rooms as classrooms. So that's a very nice richness. Well, this is the wealth in education that you can imagine. Then you can imagine, and also you can ask for as a teacher. This is really quite nice. Okay. All right. So Bilsems, we're going to call them as Bilsems in Turkish language, science and art centers. So Bilsem is the abbreviated name of science and art education centers. So they are public special education institutions. I told you they are normally opened by our Minister of National Education. So the idea here, the aim here is to ensure that gifted and talented students can be aware of their individual abilities, individual capabilities, and develop and improve and use their own capacities at a higher level. So this higher level is determined by those students, okay? You just observe, you just facilitate, but day by day, you will see that their level go up and up, and their level is just increase. So that higher level is determined by the student herself or himself, because they know their level and you know their level. So you just want them to ease this process and progress, right? So now there are, as you can see, I'm sorry, sorry, 279 centers in Turkey, according to recent records or records. So as you can see, these are not too much, not too many, but we have those centers in Turkey. Just in case, just I want to include if someone would be interested or wonder, okay? So potential questions. So I would like to include this part because as a teacher, maybe you would like to know how many students per class we have. So we have 5 to 6 students per class. It can increase sometimes. For example, this year we've got 8 students per class, 8 to 9, but it doesn't go up to 10 or 15 or something like that, because here we want them to focus on their own learning. So we just want them to develop their own skills individually. So that's why crowded classes are not acceptable. Okay. The subjects, so normally we've got Turkish in our institution because some institutions can offer more because they could have those kind of teachers with branches like, anthropology, sociology, psychology, or something like that. But we have Turkish, social sciences, IT, science, maths, art, music, and English. Okay. And also, they come here 2 days or 3 days of a week after school. Normally, they're enrolled in their public schools, in their state schools. They just go there, they keep going. But then, when they finish their work with the school, they come to the center. Okay. So sometimes it goes like that. Some students, some learners prefer coming 2 days, twice a week. Some students prefer one day a week, like that will be Saturday, but they must have 8 hours of instruction in a week. So they could just simply prefer coming on Saturdays because we don't offer classes on Mondays and Sundays. That's the official off days. But if they want, they could just go, they could come here like twice a week, okay? And also students come from different schools as well. So because they're enrolled their own schools, they go to state schools, and also we just accept students from private schools as well. Okay. So the students like the students are diverse, and also they come from different schools. Okay, workshops. We have also workshops offered in an alternative day. For example, here in our institution, we have on Wednesdays, we have workshops. So it could be anything that you would imagine. It depends on the teacher and teacher's expertise, okay? For example, I give how to improve English language skills speaking in the speaking format, okay? So you could see here so many themes, so many fields like robotics and coding and fast reading, mind games, astronomy, aviation, and so on and so forth. So if they have the qualified teacher or the trainer, so they could also have the workshops for free, of course, if the institution offer, right? So, what are the qualifications of teachers working at science and art centers? By the way, I just forgot to tell you, I guess. The students come here and they can be enrolled after a series of examinations, by the way. Not every kid deserves to be enrolled in those institutions. So I forgot to tell you, but now I just remember the qualifications of the teachers, right? So here you can see that there are 3 main qualifications. The first one, open-mindedness. So with a narrow mind, you would mean nothing to those kids, okay? This is quite important. You would mean nothing, I'm sorry. So you should have those like that kind of capacity to be open-minded. So with a narrow mind, no way. So they need to have a growth mindset. I don't know if these identifications, if these descriptions, keywords are familiar to you, but growth mindset is quite important. And it just emphasizes that you should have a mindset that your mind can be developed, your mind, your brain can be trained. So it's not like fixed mindset. Okay, I'm not good at maths and I won't be succeeding in maths anymore or forever or never. No way. Growth mindset. If you have the growth mindset, you should say, and you could say, okay, all right, I know. I'm not good at maths. I'm not bad, but not good. But that's not a that's not the end of the world. So this is a challenge. So I can always challenge myself to go for the better. Okay, I can always challenge myself to train myself in a better way. So growth mindset is just that and stands for that fact. So they need to have a growth mindset towards their students, learners, their teaching, and their profession, even in their daily lives. But for this kind of thing, the qualifications of a teacher as a teacher, so you should have that growth mindset towards your teaching, okay? The other one, professional development. So they need to constantly develop themselves. Taking courses would be a great option, right? And enrolling in the projects, attending webinars like you do right now, attending seminars like local ones or national ones or international ones even. So that will be amazing if you just do that as a teacher from those centers, working at those centers. And also the last one would be strong academic professional background. So we are talking about CVs over here. So those teachers, if they want to work at those kind of institutions, they need to have a master's degree or they need to have experience of at least 5 years. Okay, 5 years of teaching. So that's quite important because you have your documents first and then you just go and apply and you have the oral examination then. And after that oral examination, if you just proceed that kind of commission to the fact that you are ready and you're enough for those kids, then you are selected and you can just start working in those institutions. I don't know about the system in Kenya, or I don't know about the system in Africa, about the teachers and how they appoint, like how they're appointed to the schools. Is it is there an examination, or how do you do that? Like when you finish studies, you just go and apply to a school like the teachers do in the UK or in the US, I don't know, but we have exams for everything in Turkey, okay? Even if you're a teacher, even you are finished with your studies at university, no way. You should again go and enroll and take a very long a very long series of examinations, and also you need to have a very main, big, very important and hard examinations again. So we have exams for everything. So don't worry about that. We have exams in everywhere in life. So as a teacher, no way, we can't rescue ourselves from the exams. Sorry, exams are everywhere in life. Okay, so challenges of meeting of the needs of gifted students. You are selected after a series of examinations. You are done with your studies. You did everything. But now, when you teach, you will figure out that there are more coming, the challenges, because they're not normal students, they're not average students, they're not even students, because, I told you about the characteristics of those learners. So then you, day by day, you just slightly explore yourself as well as a teacher, and you just explore your learners as well, and you explore their needs and then their fields of interest, and you just figure out that, okay, I need to adapt my teaching. Sorry, that doesn't work. So you need to have like plan B, plan C, plan D, until up to plan Z. You just need to adapt yourselves, okay, as a teacher. Because creating personal, sorry, because that's quite important. If you are not able to overcome those challenges, and your teaching would be nothing for them, and you as a teacher would be nothing to them, and you wouldn't want that, you wouldn't wish that, right? So okay, so the challenges are listed over here. For example, creating personalized learning plans for each gifted students can be time consuming and resource intensive. I included that because the learning plans are covered and also prepared for each gifted students, because we have the learning plan, we have the identification forms, and we have how we can overcome those challenges for that student, and we have everything for every kid, but not every kid in the center. Because in the beginning of academic year, the school manager calls you to a meeting, and then you are given, for example, a pile of students, a pile of learners that you would mentor during the academic year. Okay, so you've got a pile of students, a class, for example, because we don't call them with the grades, like, okay, fourth graders, fifth graders, we don't call them like that. So we have the special programs, so we call them like special, that special kind of program class, this special program class. So that's why you've got a class of students, and you need to do this for every student. Can you imagine? And also, some educators may lack the training or resources to effectively differentiate instruction for gifted students. I just included this because that is quite valid for English learning and teaching. Differentiated instruction. This is quite challenging because they are examined, of course. They go through examinations, I know, but those examinations don't cover English skills. So, of course, they have the exams, but they don't like answer English questions. So, you have a class with different levels of English. So, how would you react? Of course, they're gifted, they're talented. Of course, they have those capacities, like enormously, incredibly perfect capacities, but their English levels are not the same. So, how would you adapt yourself? So, that would be a very important challenge, because you need to adapt yourself if their levels are different from each other, okay? Meeting the social and emotional needs of gifted students can be just as crucial as meeting their academic needs. So I think this is very important, because you wouldn't bother yourself to worry about their academic needs, because their academic needs are covered by their own schools normally, because they're cognitively, of course, higher than their peers. But when it comes to social and emotional needs, you would just feel and urge yourself to do something as a teacher, and also as a person, as a human being, because these kids are bullied in their schools because they're gifted, and also their IQ levels are so high, but EQ levels, emotional intelligence levels, are not that high. Sometimes on average, even, of course, they're sensitive, they're sensible, everything, and they are covered with those skills that any other kid could do, but their social and emotional needs differ, vary. So that's why you would just slightly feel an urge to just touch upon those needs, and how, and you would just think how you would overcome those kind of challenges related to their needs. Okay, that would be a tricky topic, because normally in my professional life I personally feel that urge still because their needs, of course, every time I see them, it's just differ, okay? So diverse needs of like emotional and social fields. That's a tricky field still to me. After 14 years, it's still tricky. And not every gifted student is really into learning a foreign language like every other student. So that's the case, and that's the most important challenge, okay? And that's the hardest one, I guess, I should say, to be honest. That's the hardest one because you see, they're really into science, they're really into maths, they're really into, for example, biology. For example, in my institution, we've got biology teacher and some other institutions have chemistry and also like physics and like aviation and space. So if you see that, okay, they're so interested in science and aviation and biology, microscopes and like everywhere, cells and everything, and you just try to persuade them and try to motivate them to learn a foreign language, and you just feel like you don't have those kind of arms and fingers. No way. You just feel missing. Okay. You just feel that, okay, how do I motivate them now? Because they're not into it, right? And I told you while I was just talking about the characteristics, so they can have the strong feel when they're into learning something. But if they're not into learning foreign language, if they don't want, so how would you react? They slightly don't want, and they know why they won't like it. They know why they just don't want it. So that's really tricky, okay? All right, then, how is English taught as a foreign language to overcome these challenges? This is my personal point of view, okay? So that's not scientific, that's not theoretical, that's practical, and that's my own way, right? Okay, so, but still, three main approaches are crucial. So that's the scientific and theoretical I'd like to include here. So that would be one thing, task-based language teaching. I think while you're studying at university, while you're just trying to finish your bachelor degree, so you would have this task-based language teaching. I don't think as a teacher you wouldn't hear about this. You would most probably you would hear this one, right? So task-based language teaching would work for these challenges. That is an approach to language learning where learners are given interactive tasks to complete. If you don't remember, I just want to include to this one, and I just want you to remember this as well. So in order to do this, they need to communicate in the target language. So you just give them interactive tasks to complete, and then you create the teams, and they just start doing that, right? So that's task-based language teaching. Also, we've got topic-based language teaching. The emphasis of the lessons in language learning is on a subject, on a topic or a theme. So it's easier to associate with the words and situations and together around the topic, right? So you would slightly observe, like slowly observe your students or your learners. And then when you discover their fields of interest, and you would know how you could approach them because now you have a hint in mind. Okay, that topic interests that student, or that student could be interested in that kind of subject, right? And then you just integrate English with those topics. For example, it's a multidisciplinary approach, maybe you could also call this, but not like that, maybe. So, for example, you've got a student who is a very, very interested and focused on learning something in coding, robotics, or IT. Then you just come to the class with AI, right? Technology or coding or something like that with an activity. So that's where you just touch the heart and touch the mind of that students, okay? That would be an amazing idea as well because I did that. And then that's the most used one. That's the most functional one that we use. Project-based language teaching. So that's again an instructional approach. It's designed to give students the chance to develop knowledge and skills related to challenges they may face in the real world. That's the one, okay? Project-based language teaching. So you just don't call your students like, okay, kids, today we're going to have a project and this is going to be about this and that. No way. It's not like that. It's not the way it should be, of course. So you offer them a problem because when you offer them a problem, that's where you got them because they are interested in problems, they are interested in challenges, they are interested in how they could just solve that problem because normally they are like they all are interested in maths and science. So I can say they are all interested in because it's been 5 years already, and now I know that they are interested in maths and science. So you would just slightly come up with an idea with a problem or with something that would work in the real world. Okay, so if you just observe that that is touching for them, that is sensible to them, that is like functional to them, that is real them. When you just offer the problem, when you give them the problem, then they come on, okay, I have an offer, I have a solution, I have something. If they have that kind of capacity in that field, they would just easily show it to you, okay? Then you could start progressing. You could start your project cycle and you could direct them to the project and how they would just go through the project. And in the end, you would just see them. They would have the product in the end, okay? And then they could just report their outcomes and everything to you. Okay, so that would be amazing thing as well. Right. And two main aspects are crucial. I wanted to include over here. Use of authentic English in real situations and contexts that is working, okay? That works the best. And also improving English speaking skills. These are crucial because they don't want to write something in English. They don't want to learn even English. It's not like, of course, they want to learn English and they have, at least they know that without a foreign language, they wouldn't go abroad or they wouldn't succeed in university because those universities that are very prestigious in Turkey, they offer English classrooms. They offer their classes, they offer their subjects in English, and they know it. And that's a must for them. But what I'm talking about over here is that if you just show them the need of English speaking and the chance to practice English, so then you just see them, okay, wow, now I get the idea. I just need it. And when they are persuaded by this, when they perceive themselves that English is a must and crucial for their real, for their own life, so that's the thing, okay? That's the key. Now you get them, right? Okay, a picture always reinforces the concept. That is again me and my classroom. So here are some pictures of my students, products taken during our classes. So again, I think I love this group. They are now grown-ups and they are going to very prestigious high schools right now. And also they continue coming to our centers as well. So they were small over here, like sixth grade or something, or seventh grade, I don't know. Okay, from a lesson based on their dream job. So here we're gonna have how I overcome those challenges, okay? So I told you, if you provide them with the opportunities that they can see that that activity is actually working for their real life, so you get them. For example, that would be that was an amazing class that I had, and I just gave them this worksheet, my dream job, and it's like when I grow up, I want to be, and they want to speak up for their own job, for their own future, not somebody else's future, not like person X's job, person X's future. They are like focused on their own dream job and they want to talk about themselves as well. And when you create that positive and stress-free learning environment, so you see that they are, of course, they are tackling. These are not like, okay, my dream job is being a teacher, and I want to. So, of course, they're not fluent. Of course, they're not like excellent speakers of English, but they try, and they try by heart. They try from the bottom of their heart. So that's the thing you want to see in a student, in a learner, right? So they try hard, and that's really important. Okay, for example, another class from a lesson based on their dream country. Now, a friend of mine, I think, told me lately because I have a student, and after this lesson, he was called as Edip in Turkish. And he said, okay, one day I want to just really create my dream country, and that's going to be Ediboria. And now he still works on his dream country, and he tries to do something, and he just sends like some documents in WhatsApp to me, like for example, okay, in my dream country this is happening, that is happening. So you can see that this person, this learner, would, I don't know, become a politician or become a president one day. Who knows, right? So they were too enthusiastic and they were too excited to share their dream country, like where everything is free, everything is nice, like this and that, right? Okay. So you could see, for example, from a lesson based on dream country, and also I had the alternative. If you don't want to create a country, you could just slightly think about your dream country that you want to visit. So that was one of those classrooms. So you could see here, must see places, food and drink, sports and money, currency and extra, like that. So that's like, it takes like 40 minutes or so, and it's quite nice and it's very effective if you have a smart board. For example, I wouldn't do that in this institution because we don't have smart boards. Or like if your students, if your learners have their phones or tablets or something that they could just do research, that works. For example, in the other building we were at that time, and we had the smart boards, and I just wanted them to go and find a smart board in order to, do their research. So if you just lack of technology in your classroom, so that wouldn't be a good idea, but they would just, turn this into their country, like they want to, the dream country that they want to create. Okay, so that would be an alternative for you as well. From a lesson based on sustainable development, so that was a very nice class as well, because we were talking about the GM food, genetically modified foods. And I wanted them to include and create some posters and flyers, and that would be like that. Don't eat to eat, right? Stop GMF. And that was cool because we were just looking through the articles, and then we were just looking through and watching some videos, like very short videos, not like 1 hour documentaries or something like that. But that is, again, a nice one. I remember still, like, don't produce GMO, like food and animal thing. I don't remember what he or she written in here, but yeah, that was the flyers that he or she created. I don't remember actually the name of the students right now, but that was again cool. Like, you see the manipulation that they're doing us. Okay, so this is again related to the real world. Okay, that's not utopic, that's not history, that's not something that they can't relate to their own, to their original lives, right? Okay. From a lesson based on bingo game on Nobel Prize award winners. So that was again a nice one because these kids love competition. And when you integrate those competition things like games and your lesson English, if you integrate both of them, so you would have a very nice result in the end. Okay. For example, here, from a lesson I told based on famous scientists, snowball taboo. That's again another amazing idea because I remember having them to like write some kind of very simple questions on a piece of paper. And then I told them, okay, now throw like a rubbish, those like papers with the questions, and throw them on the floor. And they were shocked. And they were like they were asking, keeping asking to me, like, are you serious right now, teacher? And I told yes. And then in a competition again, I wanted them to come up here to the board and open those snowballs. And if they can, answer those questions, they get the points. If they can't, they don't get the points like that. But the most interesting part was the expression on their faces because they would most probably expect something else, but I just told them the throw as a litter, to throw those papers as a litter on the floor. Of course, after that, in the end of the class, we just collected them, right? Yeah. But that moment was quite amazing for me, right? So again, from a lesson based on data graphing, because they're so into maths, they're so into those kind of things like graphing, data graphing, science, and those kind of things. So that was again a another example that we did integration of math in English classes, right? So you can see the bar graph over here from a lesson based on their ideal school. Ideal school is again nice. You can see here, right? So especially the uniform thing. And they designed their own uniforms on Canva. And they even thought to make it real, but they couldn't. I don't remember. Well, so we just we were wondering if we could do that, but then I guess we just couldn't find the fund or couldn't find the sponsor or something like that. But I'm sure they will have it one day with their families. Creative storytelling, of course, we have, like, because some students, some learners are really into literature and storytelling and books and reading, like fast reading and so. So that was again another idea. Okay, creative storytelling, Captain and the Ship Boy. As you can see over here, they're so creative. And so basically here they just created a story and that was the paper presentation part and they told what they have in their minds. And I included, I guess, just the keywords and then out of those keywords they created the story and then they told the story. And when I'm telling you about this, please don't think that they're so like excellent in language skills. They have excellent English skills. No way. They're tackling, they have difficulties, but they're trying because they're motivated. Okay. That's the idea. International collaborations, of course, we had and we still have. And so that was another project that we ran. I think it was 2 years ago. I don't remember. Like, yeah, 2 years ago for a virtual meeting for International Education Week. So that was between USA. We had, I don't remember that we had from Africa, but we can have. But we had from European countries and we had like countries from Latin America and also the USA, of course, and South Korea, and I guess one from Qatar. But now, if you're interested, you could just write to me after the session, and then we could slightly collaborate, easily collaborate if you want. So that included a Zoom meeting, and but physically, the students were in the classroom. Both sides were in the classroom. the teacher and the students, and we just had the Zoom meeting like we do right now with you, okay? So that was again another opportunity for them to speak up and for them to practice English because they had the chance to meet their peers from the USA and from Turkey, and that was vice versa. That was quite cool. Okay, the quote, last quote, what makes a child gifted and talented may not always be good grades in school, but a different way of looking at the world and learning. It was a very nice quote. But if you've got further questions, I don't know if we're running out of time, but I could have your questions here, or you could just find me on social media or email me here. That's my email. You could just go through the social media. I've got Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you want to collaborate as well as a teacher, I would appreciate that. And thank you for being here. It's such an honor and such a pleasure to be with you today, again, tonight or this afternoon, wherever you are, I don't know. So I'd like to also thank to Margot for her invitation. So I felt quite special. Thank you so much. And that's the end. Thank you. Margot, you're muted.
Sorry about that.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry. We can have 3 questions from members. Feel free to raise up your hand or you can share on the chat box.
And if you want to comment on something,
yeah, and I can remember
raise your
you
hand.
mentioned about, you're asking about whether Kenyans, we do your way, and we had Professor Doshe who responded on the chat box. Kindly, Professor Doshe, please, maybe you can say what you had responded.
Thank you, Margot, and thank you, our today's presenter. That presentation was impeccable and timely. We need to understand how to deal with different learners in our classes. So you were asking about exams. Exams are constant. I was saying that just like many countries and across the world, so is Kenya. We write exams. Teachers are subjected to an exam. So if you are maybe doing a primary teacher option, you go to a college. Currently, it takes 3 years for a diploma. Then after which, you write a national assessment, a national exam. You wait for your results. You get the results. You apply for a number. So you are registered by the Teacher Service Commission in Kenya. The same, if you go for the university degree, once you're done, you get the number. And now you're allowed to teach. You can be employed by the government, or you can choose to teach in private institutions. But once you have the number, you are a qualified teacher who can teach across all the curricula. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
That
Prof.
was quite informative. Thank you.
Yeah, then I can also mention, you had said in your class, you have maybe 4 to 6 to 10 learners. Here in Kenya, we have 40 to 60 large classrooms. So we take care of such a number. Most of the classes in the stream, you'll find 40 learners per class. And also, as a professor has said, we have also teachers who specialize on special needs, and the country is bringing about inclusivity in most schools. So learners who are gifted and talented will still be in these schools, but a teacher can maybe engage a learner by giving them more work, extra work, so that they can be busy and not disrupt maybe the rest of the learners. Yeah, so we have different people mentioning, most of them are saying the presentation was super. We have Samuel, thank you so much. Experience was absolutely amazing, including your fluency. I agree with you, Samuel. Then we have a great experience, thank you. Then we have Andrew. Sorry for joining late, but we're going to share the presentation. Don't worry, and glad you gained as well. Then we have Imelda from Kenya. Thank you for the presentation. And we have Gloria. Thanks for your presentation. It was interesting to know. Yeah, and when you said about this topic, I was really excited because actually I'm one of those students who are gifted and talented. And I was growing in class. During my primary session and secondary session, I would grow the entire class. Like if the teacher doesn't control me, I'll be like the one who is now overtaking everything. And at times teachers will think I'm so rude. So maybe when you are looking at such learners, you can be able to tame them in a better way and not see them as rude. Just that we want to learn more and explore more. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So at this juncture, we'll invite Professor Juliana kindly. Tell us something about IELTA. Yeah, I can see someone saying that I've not introduced myself. Those who don't know me, I'm Margo Irene Musau from Kenya, currently the ambassador of IELTA Kenya. This is my third term. Yeah, and you're welcome for the sessions. We have monthly webinars every month. Dr. Juliana, please welcome.
Thank you, Margo.
Sorry, it's Professor. I'm taking you down. Professor Juliana, so.
Don't worry, it's okay. I guess that sometimes our titles don't define us, actually. It's our attitude and the way we conduct ourselves wherever we go, what makes us the person we really are. Yes, we study for knowledge, acquiring knowledge and sharing this as we are teachers. And I totally agree with those that say that knowledge is not something that you have to stay with if not sharing away with the rest of the people around. So that's what you're doing today, Margo and IELTA Kenya, bringing specialists, experts on different subjects so that you can increase your knowledge and the way you let's say, organize and plan your classes. It can be directed in let's say, different way, shaped to new initiatives and ideas coming from the globalized world. Well, Margo asked me like to talk about a little bit of IELTA. As you know, IELTA is an international association created to support teachers and learners in the whole world. It's not only in the branches that we belong to. Branches are part of this big tree that we have cultivated through the past of these years. This initiative started in pandemics because it existed the need to connect with other people, like having some kind of mobility abroad where we can exchange idea. It was an opportunity to do that since we were in our classrooms just face to face with our students. But as virtuality came, it was not, well, we didn't take it as we were going to be just closed every single day in our houses or schools. But we also found the benefits, the advantages, and the opportunities this time brought to us to connect from all over the world, to connect people from all over the world, and it was what happened. A group of first members like Neil, Dr. Neil, Dr. Sola, Dr. Glenn, and Annie, that is not here, but she's a pretty one of the pretty old members. And after that, they started with the first, I remember, with the first virtual classes where we had the opportunity to be part of the audience. Later, it came another group of teachers like Professor Nirmala Devi, Professor Paulina from, well, Nirmala Levy from Malaysia, Paulina from Poland, Taruna Kapoor from India at the beginning. Then she continued, but just backwards. Dr. Carlo Magno and my person as well. We tried to make it more formal and regarding to administrative purposes. So we tried to make it to be registered, having a significant code. And well, we obtained it, and now that's why we are recognized in the world. So that's why we also appreciate these kind of activities you constantly conduct back there in your IELTA branches, because it follows most part of the objectives, mission, and vision of IELTA that I can mention probably that you don't know. The first thing that you must know is that we are a non-profit association. What does it mean? That we are not seeking for gaining money. We are seeking for gaining knowledge. And most of our work is voluntary. It means that free time that probably we have, and in my case, it's not a free time that I have, so I have taken IELTA as part of my duties every single day. It means that we try to support other teachers when they have to conduct their webinars. At this point, many of you are very active, and I congratulate you because of that. It's a great job. And before of that, we were the ones who were very, very active on the medias, but now it's your opportunity. We are open to give opportunities to other teachers to be the protagonist of sharing knowledge. So as I told you, our mission is to provide high quality international standard programs to English language teachers three main important departments. I'm talking about the that is held by Dr. Glenn, the learners department that is coordinated by Nirmala Devi Kandasamy, the teachers department that is coordinated by Paulina from Poland, and the research development department that is the one that I'm conducting. So in order to enhance your human, professional, and scientific skills through a respectful, collaborative, cooperative, critical, and intercultural interaction. So it takes us our vision that is to be a model of innovative academic and organizational quality, which contributes to the educational improvement by creating a community of professionals in every country and supportive learning environments, and ultimately a better world, as you do in Kenya and in the other IELTA branches that are present here with their members. To achieve this, of course, we have some objectives that we are in constant revision. So some of those are to empower English teachers across the world to succeed in their jobs. We have had many teachers that have obtained scholarships to travel abroad and participate in conferences, webinars in their countries. And some others travel to other countries, like it was the case that some in Peru, some in Panama, like in my case. And some others like Paulina and Nirmala Devi that have seen that they have exchanged information, shared information with other countries. To organize workshops about teaching methodology. Every single branch is allowed to organize this kind of workshops, so that's why you are conducting this right now. To organizing a national events. This is not only about being in Kenya face-to-face, so we here come from different countries. You can see in the audience, we are from different countries. Organize inter-school contests across the world. It's up to the IELTA branches to organize events in each country that meets its needs. To create an internship program for teachers and students. It exists. We have the Teachers IELTA Forum and the Students Forum, but at this point, the Student Forum is the more active. The Teachers Forum got some pause just to give a boost to the students' part, and because of some responsibilities are also gained back in my country, so that we made a kind of a stop vacations, but we are going to be renewed the coming December, hopefully. To create internship programs, okay, to write educational articles and publish them in an e-magazine. We have the Teachers Forum magazine that was created by my department under the support of the IELTA board, and we publish articles coming from the different topics that we discuss in the forums. So if you are able to participate and you develop the topic, it's you are free to publish with us your articles based on those topics. To hold monthly forums, to conduct research on teaching purposes, to open an international teaching training school, and to establish international partnership with different universities, associations, and organizations with similar goals and objectives. We don't work alone. We have the support of other organizations. Like, for example, here in Panama, IELTA works with the University of Panama by hand. We have some collaboration in Philippines. I know that they are like 2 organizations that work with IELTA branches. I think that in Kenya, you always try to make connections with the British Council and other organizations, like to always follow this. So with this information I present, I hope that you could receive part of what IELTA does, and it is. And if you have any doubt, any question, you are all open to send it through your different ambassadors, so that they share this with us, and then we can discuss and find solutions or the most appropriate responses to let's say, clarify all those doubts that you have. Thank you, Margot, and keep moving forward as you always do. You do a great job. I have seen you on the social media very active, and that's something that I really admire coming from Kenya.
Thank you so much, Professor. That's an awesome information. I won't dilute anything. And also thank you, members, for your patience as we come to the end of the session. I hope there's no one we've locked out with a question, so that we go to the next step. Professor Doshe, kindly prepare the certificates, please, as we see if any other person has a question. Professor Adoshe, you can share the screen. Professor Adoshe is one of the officials in our session. He's the Professional Development Coordinator. Welcome, Prof.
Thank you, Margaret. Allow me to officially present this certificate to our today's presenter, Gulbin. This is certificate of recognition. Is awarded to you, our presenter today, Gulbin, for generously sharing your time and expertise as a speaker of our webinar entitled Learning Journey with Gifted and Talented Learners. It is awarded on this day, the first day of November 2025 via Zoom. Thanks for generously sharing with us your knowledge. Receive this certificate with gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Then all participants are going to receive their certificates. You can share the certificates of participation. They see how it will be. So I'm sharing a link on the chat box where you're going to fill in, and we'll close the link in the next 20 minutes. So ensure you copy paste before we close the session. There's the link. Yeah, and we really have other upcoming webinars. Mona from Lebanon will have one. Then we have another from Kenya. and another one from Brazil. So keep on watching. We have several remaining, actually 4 of them before the end of the year. At that juncture, we can call it a day. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you to our speaker. Thank you, Professor Juliana. Thank you, Professor Doshe, and everyone who enabled us to make this webinar a success. Thank you so much.